am tired. I have lost my husband. I have lost my child. I don't want to lose myself too. I beg you, please, take the gift back. Nobody in Okala market could explain it. No matter how hot the sun burned, no matter how long the fish sat on Madam Eka's table, not one fly came near. Her fish always looked fresh, silver like moonlight, clean like rainwater. While other sellers fought off flies with brooms, smoke and rags, Madam Eka just stood quietly behind her stall. She didn't wave her hands. She didn't fan the fish. She didn't even smile at customers. Yet, people lined up for her fish like it was gold. "Please, madam, give me that big one," shouted a woman with a tired baby tied to her back. "No, I saw it first," another woman argued, stretching her hand over the table. A man added, "Just sell to me first. I have been waiting longer." But Madam Eka didn't argue. She simply picked the fish, weighed it, and gave it out. Her hands were steady, her face calm, her eyes like deep water. The other sellers hated it. "She must be using charm," whispered Mama Deka, who had sold fish in that market for 30 years. "Maybe she bathes the fish in something," said another, her face bitter. Madam Eka heard them, but she said nothing. In her heart, she thought, if only they knew the pain behind this fish. Her life hadn't always been like this. Before the market started calling her Madam Eka, Queen of Fish, she was just a Kayet, a simple woman from Nko village. Her life was plain, hard, and honest. At 16, her uncle married her off to a man old enough to be her father. His name was Jonah. He wasn't a wicked man, but life had beaten him down. He worked as a truck driver, bringing home small money. Eka cooked for him, cleaned, washed, and tried to give him peace. They didn't have much, but they had a daughter, Ogechi, bright-eyed, always asking questions. The girl was Eka's heart, her joy, her reason to breathe, until that day. It was a rainy morning. Jonah had kissed them goodbye, boots muddy, raincoats torn. He had gone out for a delivery and never returned. A trailer smashed his truck near the big river. All they brought home were his boots and his broken wristwatch. Eka cried for days, but she stayed strong for Ogechi. Until one afternoon, when Ogechi came back from school thirsty, she drank a sachet of juice from the roadside, a careless mix, dirty water maybe. That night, the girl's belly swelled, her eyes rolled back, and before dawn, she was gone. After that, Eka felt like a walking ghost. Neighbors came to console her. Some brought food, others prayed, but nothing could fill the emptiness in her chest. Nights were the worst. She would sit on her mat, staring at the moon, asking God why he had taken everything. One evening, she left the house. She didn't even know where she was going. She just walked. Her legs led her to the riverbank, where fishermen were packing their nets. She watched them, her eyes empty. The water looked peaceful, but inside, Eka felt like the river itself, wide, deep, and sad. She had hidden a small bunch of old Naira notes inside her blouse. Maybe, she thought, she could buy a fish. Maybe cooking would take her mind off the pain. She greeted a fisherman, pointed at a fish, and when she reached into her blouse, her money was gone. Gone. She searched again. Nothing. Someone had stolen it in the crowd. People looked at her, some with pity, some with judgment. "Eya, see widow," someone whispered. "Life is hard," said another, but no one helped. Eka walked to a big stone at the river's edge and sat down. The sky had started changing. It was almost night. The air smelled of water and wet sand. Eka didn't cry. There were no tears left. She just sat, empty and tired. The next thing she knew, darkness had fallen. The moon hung low, and the only sound was the gentle lap of water. Then, she saw something. A woman stood not far from her, near the big rock under the bridge. The woman's dress shimmered like water. Her skin glowed in the moonlight. Her hair fell long and black down her back. She looked too clean, too perfect to be standing there at night. Eka's heart jumped. She stood up, hope rising. Maybe this woman could help. Good evening, Eka said, her voice small. Please, I need small money for transport. I was robbed. The woman smiled, soft and kind. Is that all you want? Eka blinked. What else is there? The woman pointed at the river. What if I give you fish? Fish that no fly will touch. Fish that will make people rush to your table. Fish that will never finish. Would you like that? Eka stared, unsure if she was dreaming. The woman walked closer, bent behind a rock, and lifted the biggest, shiniest fish Eka had ever seen. Then another, then a third. They sparkled like silver coins. Say yes, and your life will change forever, the woman said. Eka didn't think. She was hungry. She was broken. She was tired. She whispered, yes. The woman placed the fish in Eka's hands. They felt warm and heavy. You will know what to do, the woman said. But remember, nothing comes free. Before Eka could ask what she meant, the woman turned and melted into the night. Eka stood there, fish in hand, heart racing. She didn't know if she should laugh or cry. By morning, she reached home. Her neighbor gasped when she saw the fish. Where did you get these? They look like blessing fish. Eka only smiled faintly. She took the fish to the market. By noon, they were gone sold for more money than she'd ever made. That night, Eka sat in her small room, staring at the fish tray. She felt something between joy and fear. Then, as she drifted off to sleep, a soft voice echoed in her mind. Nothing good comes free. And in the shadows outside her house, unseen by Eka, two glowing eyes watched her window. The market woke up before the sun. Roosters crowed, traders set up their tables, and children ran with trays balanced on their small heads. The smell of smoke, pepper, and raw fish filled the air. And there, right in the middle of it all, was Madame Eka. People no longer called her Ekaette the widow. They called her Madame Eka, the woman with fish that looked like silver. Every morning, new fish waited for her outside her small house. She didn't know how they got there. She didn't see who brought them. But the fish were always fresh, always clean, and always free from flies. At first, Eka thought it was a blessing. Maybe her suffering had finally ended. Maybe God had remembered her. She sold the fish at the market, and customers rushed to buy. She no longer begged. She no longer worried about what she would eat. She started saving money. She even bought a weighing scale and a new wrapper for Sundays. But deep inside, something felt strange. She remembered the woman at the river, the way her voice had sounded, soft but strong, like water running over stones. She remembered the words, nothing good comes free. One morning as Eka swept her small yard, she felt a presence. She froze, the broom in her hand trembling. You're doing well, said a voice. Eka turned slowly. There, leaning against the wall, was the woman from the river. Her dress shimmered as if it was wet, though not a drop of water touched it. Eka's heart raced. How did you find me? The woman smiled, calm as ever. I've always known where you are. I came to remind you. Remind me? Eka asked, her mouth dry. The woman stepped closer. The rule, no man must touch you. Not in love, not in longing. Your body belongs to no one. Eka stared. Why? The woman's eyes darkened like a river before rain. Because the power I gave you lives in silence. If you break the rule, your gift will turn against you. Your skin will betray you. Your flesh will fall away like cloth eaten by fire. Eka felt cold all over. But I have no one. My husband is gone. My child is gone. I have no need for men. The woman nodded. Good. Keep it that way. Then, as suddenly as she came, the woman was gone. No footsteps, no sound, just the breeze, soft and sad. That night, Eka lay awake. Her room was quiet except for the ticking of an old clock. The words echoed in her mind, your flesh will fall away. Days turned into weeks. Eka kept to herself. She focused on her fish. She spoke only when she had to. She avoided the eyes of men, but the market began to notice. Madame Eka doesn't smile, they said. She thinks she's better than us now, another trader whispered. She must be using juju, Mama Deka grumbled. Eka ignored them. She told herself, let them say what they want. I have peace now, but peace doesn't stay long sometimes. It started with a man named Nello. Nello was a teacher at the nearby school. He was not like the other men. He didn't shout at women in the market. He didn't drink palm wine until his eyes turned red. He was gentle, kind, and quiet. The first time he came to Eka's stall, he bought 1 fish. The second time, 2. The third time, he brought a small gift, a book of folk tales. I thought you might enjoy reading this, he said with a shy smile. Eka stared at the book but said nothing. Nello nodded. It's all right. I'll leave it here. That night, Eka opened the book. The first story was about a woman who made a promise to the river and broke it. The river took her voice, her joy, and her life. Eka slammed the book shut, heart pounding. The next day, Nello returned. He didn't ask for fish. He just stood near her stall. Good morning, he said softly. Eka didn't answer. I know you don't talk much, he said, but it's nice to see you. She looked at him, unsure. I'll go now, Nello said with a kind nod. And so it went on. Each time he came, he brought something smaller orange, a broom, a poem written by his students. Each time, Eka felt something stir in her chest. One morning, as she packed up to go home, Nello came again. He walked with her, carrying her basket. They talked about the weather, the market, the children at his school. When they reached the bend near her house, he paused. I wish I had met you sooner, he said. Eka felt her throat tighten. She turned to go, but Nello gently touched her hand, just for a second, just skin to skin. And in that second, Eka felt the air change. The breeze stopped. The birds went silent. The ground beneath her feet felt cold. Her heart raced. She pulled her hand back. I'm sorry, Nello said, stepping back. Eka shook her head, tears filling her eyes. You don't understand, she whispered. You don't know what you've done. She ran the rest of the way home, heart pounding, breath short. That night, she didn't sleep. She stared at her hands, at her face in the mirror, at the moon outside her window. And just as dawn began to break, she saw it. On her wrist, where Nello had touched her, the skin had changed. It was pale, like paper, thin, like it could tear at any moment. Eka sat in her small room, her heart thudding like a drum in her ears. She stared at her wrist, at the pale patch where Nello had touched her. The skin was no longer the rich brown of the rest of her body. It looked soft, weak, like paper soaked in rain. She rubbed it hard with her fingers. She scrubbed it with soap. She tried hot water. She tried cold water, but nothing changed. The patch stayed, pale, thin, wrong. Maybe it will go away, she whispered to herself, rocking back and forth on her mat. Maybe it's just my mind. Maybe I'm tired. But deep inside, she knew. The rule had been broken. Morning came too slowly. Eka wrapped a scarf tightly around her wrist. She went to the market as usual. The sun was hot. The air smelled of pepper and fish. The other traders shouted and joked. But Eka moved like a shadow. When Nello came to her stall, she didn't look at him. She weighed his fish quickly and took his money without a word. Are you all right? He asked gently. She nodded, but her eyes stayed down. Eka, if I upset you the other day, I'm sorry. I didn't mean any harm. Still, she said nothing. Nello sighed. He stood there for a moment, then walked away, his head low. The market women watched. Ah, the queen of fish has suitors now, one teased. She's foaming hard to get, another laughed. Eka didn't answer. Inside, her fear was growing. That night, the dreams returned. She saw herself standing at the riverbank. The woman was there, dressed in that shimmering cloth, her hair flowing like dark water. The woman's eyes were no longer kind. They were cold. You forgot the price, the woman said. Her voice was like the wind before a storm. I didn't mean to, Eka pleaded. It was only a touch. I didn't want it. I didn't ask for it. The woman shook her head slowly. The river doesn't count words. It counts what lives in your heart. Eka dropped to her knees. Please, give me another chance. But the woman only smiled. A smile without joy, without mercy. And the river rose. Eka woke up with a cry. Sweat soaked her wrapper. Her heart raced. She lit a small lamp and looked at her wrist again. The pale patch had grown. It now reached her palm. The next day, the market felt different. The air was heavy. Babies cried louder than normal. The chickens refused to stay in their baskets. The sky was too bright, yet it felt like rain was near. Eka tried to act normal. She set her fish, arranged her tray, greeted her customers, but her hands shook. Madam Eka, your neck, a woman said, frowning. Eka touched her throat. Her fingers felt it before her eyes, saw it a thin patch, pale as ash, cold as river water. Another customer pointed. Madam, your cheek, are you sick? Eka grabbed her small mirror, hiding behind her stall. She gasped. A part of her face near her jaw had changed. The skin there was thin, almost see-through. Her breath came fast. She packed up early, leaving the market before the gossip could start. At home, she tried everything. She washed with salt water. She rubbed palm oil on the patches. She cried. She prayed. But the pale spot stayed, spreading like spilled milk on a table. That night, Nello came. He knocked softly. Eka, please, open the door. I heard you left market early. Are you ill? She didn't answer. He knocked again. Eka, don't shut me out. Whatever it is, I want to help. Still, silence. At last, Nello sighed. I'll leave this here for you. When morning came, Eka found a bowl of hot soup at her doorstep. She sat down, stared at it, and wept. The next few days, Nello kept coming. He brought fruits, bread, clean water. He spoke softly at her door. He waited, hoping she would let him in. But Eka didn't open the door. Inside, she watched her skin change. The patches spread to her chest, her arms, her legs. Her skin felt weak, as if it could tear at any moment. She wrapped herself in cloth. She avoided the mirror, and all the while the woman's voice echoed in her mind. Your flesh will fall away like cloth eaten by fire. One night, there was a loud knock, not soft like Nello's. Hard, slow, rhythmic. Eka's heart froze. She crept to the window and peeped out. There, by her back door, stood the woman, the river woman. Her eyes shone in the dark. Her hair blew in a wind that Eka could not feel. Her smile was wide, but it held no kindness. Eka stepped back, trembling. The woman knocked again. Then she spoke, her voice soft but clear. Eka, open. The river has come to collect. Eka pressed her back against the wall. Her heart beating so loud she thought the woman outside would hear it. The room felt too small. The walls felt like they were closing in. The river has come to collect. Those words echoed in her head like thunder rolling over the hills. She thought of running, but where would she go? The woman was at her back door. If she opened the front, would the woman not find her there too? Eka stood frozen, unable to move, unable to breathe. The knock came again, slow, steady, sure, then silence. Eka waited. 1 minute. 2. She crept to the window again. The woman was gone. The yard was empty. The night air was still. The moon hung low and heavy in the sky. Eka dropped to the floor, her body shaking. She stayed there till morning, too afraid to sleep. When the first cock crowed, she stood up. She felt weak, like all the strength had left her body. But she knew she could not stay locked in the house forever. She wrapped herself in a thick cloth, covering her face, her hands, her neck. She tied her headscarf low, so no part of her skin showed. Then she picked her basket and walked to the market. People stared as she passed. Is she hiding from the sun? One woman asked. Maybe she's sick, said another. Or maybe she's doing new charm work, whispered a man. Eka ignored them. She set her table. The silver fish were still perfect. The flies still stayed away. The customers still rushed to buy. But Eka's heart wasn't in it. She felt like she was standing at the edge of something deep and dark. Nello came. He didn't speak at first. He just stood and watched her. Then, quietly, he said, "You don't look well." Eka kept her eyes on her tray. "I'm not your enemy," he said. She bit her lip. "If only you knew," she thought. That night, Eka returned home early. She locked the doors. She shut the windows. She lit her small lamp and sat on the floor. Hours passed. The night grew deeper. The village fell silent. Then she heard it. A soft voice, like a song carried by the breeze. "Eka, Eka, you cannot hide from the river." Her lamp flickered. The room grew cold. The voice came closer. "Eka, the gift was not free. The river waits." Suddenly, the lamp went out. Darkness swallowed the room. Eka felt something brush past her cheek. She gasped and jumped up, knocking over her stool. A breeze swept through the room, though the windows were shut. Then, in the faint moonlight coming through a crack in the wall, she saw it. Wet footprints leading from the door to where she stood. Her knees buckled. She sank to the floor, tears streaming down her face. "Please," she whispered. "I didn't mean to break the rule. It was just a touch, just a moment of weakness. I didn't want this." But the river doesn't listen to words. The river listens to the heart. The breeze grew stronger. The footprints vanished, as if the floor drank them up. And then came the voice, softer now, almost gentle. "Tomorrow, Eka. Tomorrow the river will collect." Morning came slowly. Eka felt like she had aged 10 years in one night. She didn't go to the market. She didn't open her door. She sat by her small window, staring at the sky, waiting. Nello came. He knocked. "Eka, please open. You're scaring me." She didn't answer. He knocked again. "Whatever it is, let me help." Still, she kept silent. Finally, Nello left, but he left a small pot of food at her doorstep. Eka watched it from inside. She wanted to eat, but her hands wouldn't move. As the sun set, the sky turned strange. The air smelled of rain, though no clouds hung above. And as the last light faded, Eka heard the sound she had feared most, the slow knock, steady and patient. Knock, knock, knock. The river had come. The knock was soft, but it carried weight, like the river itself pressing against a weak dam. Eka's body stiffened. She sat still, hands clenched on her wrapper, her heart pounding so loud she was sure the whole village could hear it. Knock, knock, knock. "Eka!" The voice was gentle, but it sent chills down her spine. "Eka, you opened the door that night by the river. Now open it again. The river waits." Eka bit her lip to stop herself from crying out. She wanted to scream, to beg, to run. But where would she go? How do you outrun a promise made to the deep? The knocking stopped. Eka waited, holding her breath. Maybe the woman had gone. Maybe it was over. Then she heard the soft sound of something wet, like water dripping on the floor. She turned slowly, her heart sinking. Wet footprints appeared, one by one, crossing her small room. They glowed faintly in the dark, as if touched by moonlight. The voice came again, this time from inside the room. "You broke the rule, Eka. Now the gift will return to the river." Eka fell to her knees. Tears rolled down her face. The woman knelt beside her. "You touched joy. You touched longing. The river felt it. And now the gift must return." Eka shook her head. "Take the fish. Take everything. Just let me stay." But the woman only stood and stepped back into the shadows. The cold deepened. Eka felt it in her bones, in her heart. Suddenly, a loud knock came at the front door. "Eka, Eka, please open, I beg you." It was Nello. Eka froze. "Eka, I heard a sound. I saw a light go out. Are you all right? Please let me in." The woman's voice filled the room, low and warning. "If he enters, the river will take him too."